Hi, everybody. I'm Dorothy, professional astrologer. This is your first time here. Welcome, welcome. Today, I'm going to teach. I will tell you about the full moon lunar eclipse, but I'm also going to teach it because I can never not teach astrology when I'm talking to this microphone and to this camera here. And so I hope you'll stay with me. And so let's get into what's going on here with this full moon lunar eclipse. It is on November 19th. I'm going to pull it up so you can see. I'm going to screen share. Give me a second to find that button. There it is. Nope, that's not the one. There it is. That always comes up like that. Here it is. Here's the partial. It's a partial lunar eclipse. It's a full moon lunar eclipse. Here in on the east coast of the United States, it is at 3:57 a.m. and that's Eastern Standard Time. You can adjust for your own time zone. I do not use ascendants and midheavens in general forecasts like this because everybody's in a different place. So this eclipse could be in a whole different house depending on where you live. So I won't talk about that either. What I am going to go into full moon lunar eclipse. Now it is in the sign of Taurus, and which is wonderful. It's at the very end of Taurus because eclipses, their numbers, they shift back through the zodiac. So when we're beginning a new 18-month cycle, eclipses have 18-month cycles approximately. We will have eclipses in 2 zodiac signs. So we're just beginning the Taurus Scorpio opposition. However, we're not quite done with the Gemini Sag yet. So the Gemini Sag, I want to cover this because it's important because I'm going to link this full moon eclipse with some other lunar phases that are very, very important for us to understand how we're going to use this eclipse. Okay. So we've just finished almost 18 months of the lunar phase that is the Gemini Sag. So the Gemini Sag one is about listening and gathering of information and learning. And that's the Gemini side of it. And the Sagittarius piece of it is about sharing and teaching and truth and honesty. And boy, oh boy, we've seen a lot of that in the last 18 months. Yeah, we have. I'm not sure about the truth and honesty, but we're still seeking that. December 4th, we're going to have a new moon in Sagittarius. So that will be another whole new beginning. I'll cover that in another video. So that's the shift that's happening, is that we're leaving the eclipse shifts, the eclipse season of Gemini and Sag, and slowly moving into this Taurus and Scorpio. And this is what we have right now. So the Taurus, the moon, full moon in Taurus is seeking, once we get to that shift, this is when we want to focus on what we value and what's important to us. Look at my notes, make sure I'm getting all these important things. And the Scorpio piece side of this, which is where the sun is about transformation and integration. When we have a full moons is a complete and total awareness. And in the sign of Taurus around what we value. So we have this opportunity right now to focus and be really aware and go after what it is that we truly value in our lives. Everybody, we all have something different. It's whatever's important to you. So here's this full moon eclipse. So we're made very aware of what's working in our life, maximum exposure, whether it's a partnership is working or not working. This will really bring that to your full awareness, whether you're feeling very stable. These are 2 fixed zodiac signs, right? So are you feeling stable? You have to ask yourself that. The full moon eclipse will make you very aware of that. You yourself will have to look at what house 27 degrees of Taurus is. I use a Placidus house system. If you use a whole sign house system, it'd be easier for you to find. So do that for yourself. And if you need help with that, let me know. We'll do something, in private messaging. You don't want your birth information on YouTube. Don't put it out there. So this is what we get to work with this full moon. We get to look at what is it that I value? What am I looking for? What am I looking to achieve? Do I want to do something that is what do I want to do to help myself feel more accomplished? Full moon cycles is when we're at that major phase of culmination. You know, we have lunar phases. Every month we have a full lunar phase cycle, from new moon, first quarter, full moon, to the last quarter. And there's others in there too, other cycles. There's actually 8 phases. But the full moon one, of course, is the apex of it. So regularly and consistently, when we have full moons, we're looking at partnerships and who we're getting our information from. There's always a reflection back to us, since that's what the moon does. It's a very simple representation of what we should be aware of in our own lives. So one of the things I wanted to work with you too today is I've been working with the Lunar Gestation Phase for a long time. This original work is by Dietrich Pessin. And so each lunar cycle starts with the new moon, and it lasts approximately 3 years. Different than the eclipse cycle I was just talking about. It's different. So I want us to look back to this date. This is May 22nd, 2020. Now, you're going to notice that we're looking at just the smallest area of the zodiac within just a few degrees. Over a 3-year period, we're going to have four illuminations in approximately the same area. So here, May 22nd, 2020, we had a new moon. And this new moon was in Gemini, very close to where the full moon is today. The full moon is at the very end of Taurus, so they're very, very close, only just 3 degrees away from each other. So I want you to go back and I want you to look at this new moon. And I want you to see, I mean, if you're somebody who does new moon goal setting or rituals, you're going to know, and you're going to write it in your journal, you're going to know what you were working on or trying to manifest. What seeds were you planting back then? However, when the moon is dark, like the new moon is, I like it because there's no light of its own when it's new. So it's dark. So to me, what we're working towards is just, I want us to focus on our feelings, right? How am I feeling? What were you feeling back then? We were all, the whole world was in shutdown at that point. Gemini is, again, like I already mentioned, is about the information, because we're just finishing up the Gemini and Sagittarius eclipses over the last 18 months, and this is part of it. So the information that we were receiving, and again, this could be related to, you know, information that you were gobbling up. I mean, I was just reading everything back then just to see if I could educate myself about what was going on in our world. What were you doing? Not everybody was focused on that, but I don't know too many who weren't. So look at how you were feeling and the information that was what was happening, because there was more than just that happening in our personal lives. So take a peek at that. So go back to May 2020. What were you initiating? What were you beginning? What new feelings, new information showed up for you? And look at your journals. And if you don't have that, look at your calendars, your appointment books, something that can trigger your memory so you can think about how you were feeling and what you were doing by, you know, with that Gemini new moon. That was the beginning of this lunar phase cycle that our eclipse on November 19th is a part of. The next lunar phase is 9 months later. That's why it's the lunar gestation phase. It takes 9 months. So 9 months after May 2020 is February 19th, 2021. On that day, we had the sun and the moon are in a square. Here, I'll draw it out for you. You could see it if you can read charts. If you can't, it's going to be hard to know. And even if you can't read charts, don't worry about the astrology piece. I'm telling you what it means. First, so this is the first quarter. We're always going to look at what the moon is doing. Here's the moon, very close to the same number. It's 1 degree at Gemini. The new moon on May 2020 is 2 degrees at Gemini. Now we have the moon and the sun square. First quarter is what we see at this point in time, is things starting to grow relating to what you were beginning May 22nd, 2020 new moon. first quarter, February 19th, 2021, things are starting to grow. Just like when you plant a garden, some things will come through the soil and they'll sprout, and some things will be doing really well and some things won't. Some things will be too clustered together, so you're going to have to weed it a little bit to, leave the plant, the thought, the idea, the process that you begun at the new moon. The things that are the strongest, those are what you want to nurture and pay attention to. It's a very active, this is when we really need to, this is when we were more active, February 2021, about what was important for us and what we felt was growing and that we wanted to nurture and take care of. And that is how we're going to act, what we're going to act, what we're going to do based off of, again, that Gemini energy. What's Gemini? It's information I've received. Gemini loves to gather information. All right. There's many other things that Gemini qualities are: travel and your neighbors, your neighborhood. It can be all of those things. There's always so many potentials when it comes to this activity of the astrology, if you will. Back to the lunar eclipse, November 19th. Here it is. Here's where one Gemini is, where this little guy is. That's the lunar north node. That's where one Gemini is. So you can see that even though the moon has now, as a full moon and an eclipse, is now shifted back into Taurus, what we want to do now is to take that information, right? We have hindsight. We can look again back to May 2020, February 2021, and we can really see what we were working about, thinking about, what information we were receiving, how we were processing things. And so now that we have this full moon and it's in Taurus, what is it that you value about the information that you received? What is it you value about the things that you had planted in May, nurtured in February, and are still growing now? What is that for yourself? Again, it will be different for everybody. We've all been under a serious amount of stress for a very long time. And when we get this type of activity, when we have, this lunar gestation phase starts at every new moon begins another 3-year cycle. So there's tons of different timeline things going on, if you will, energy focuses, timelines, whatever you want to call it. But this one, when they have eclipses in them, whether they start with a new moon eclipse, which December 4th will, and that will start another whole phase itself. When they have an eclipse included in them, then it's an important thread to pay attention to. So that's why I am really hounding on it in a way from May 2020, February 2021, until now, November 19th, 2021. What is that thread for you? You need to look at your journal. This is why it's important to journal how you feel about things. You don't have to journal Dear Diary. Today I did. However, if you really want to use astrology and especially the lunar cycles, then it is great that you at least 4 times a month write out how you're feeling and pay attention to the lunar phases. Almost every calendar has the new moon, the first quarter, the full moon, and it's the last quarter. Sometimes you'll see it labeled the 3rd quarter, or sometimes the 4th quarter. I don't know why that piece. I really don't know why. I'm going to find out one day. It's just a sciencey piece of it that I haven't dug into yet. So this is what we're looking at. Now there will be one final one. Did I pull that one up? I didn't. So let's do that now. I don't think I did, because we might as well, right? So I want us to get to here. Let me go do it one more time. You can see me use my software here. Let's go to that lunar phase family. And so finally, anyways, let's get back to that real quick. Here we are. So I want us to focus on what you value, focus on what's important to you, focus on what helps you to integrate the information you need to, be very aware of what's not working for you anymore. The moon in Taurus is fixed earth, so that's very physical. very grounded. There's not a lot of spirit in this energy. So if you're needing to release some heavy physical things or heavy psychological things is the Scorpio over here. Now is the time to do it, especially if things have just come to an apex for you and you're really feeling incredibly dense and heavy. And I know I've been feeling that too. So I've been doing some energy work to help myself with the help of some friends and colleagues, have been really helping me try to move through some stuff. You know, I sprained my ankle the other day again. I did it 6 months ago, and you know, there is something going on, you know, so we all have our stuff. Even I can read this, but that still doesn't mean my body and my psyche and my soul isn't going through just as much as anybody else. So how I use this, again, personally, is to really see what it is that I value the most and allow all that other stuff just to go away. I'm going to integrate what I need to. I'm going to process what I need to and let everything else go so I can feel more me. And the final one, I'll just give you the date real quick. Here it is. The final quarter in this cycle, which started May 2020, will begin August 19th, 2022. And that's the fourth quarter. Here, the software calls it the third quarter. My book from Llewellyn calls it fourth quarter. Again, whatever it is. But here it is. The moon is at Taurus, at 26 Taurus. Okay. So it's important. And this is not an eclipse. This is just the final quarter. So it is when we're in that final quarter, you know, that's when we're really just tying up lots of loose ends for the next month and next 9 months until we begin again in the same area. The beginning of Gemini, the end of Taurus, will start all over again. And that's a 3-year cycle that includes a lunar eclipse, which is currently what we're talking about. All right. Now, paying attention to this eclipse as well will be important. The eclipses that we have in 2022, again, are all in are all in Taurus and Scorpio. And however, a couple of them are going to be right there with Uranus, right? I just did a big lecture on that, and you can see it on my website. You can get the recording, purchase the recording if you like. It's on my website. If you need a link, it'll be below here on YouTube, but just let me know. I can send it off to you. And my colleague, Darlene Chadbourne, did the numerology for 2022. It's about 2.5 hours of lecture. So really finding your solid, your balance, your connection to Earth, to the ground, to the planet, to the things, again, Taurus, to the things that you love and value, things that have, things that have value to you. This is what we're looking at. This is what we focus on at this full moon. What am I aware of that is just so important to me and valuable to me? All right. And again, since it's going to connect with Uranus in 2022, that is going to shake things up a lot. And in what way, we don't know. Uranus does not tell us what way it's going to shake things up. I'm going to stop my share. Uranus wants to surprise us. It wants us to get out of our comfort zones. It wants us to think differently and not stay with status quo, even though it feels safe and solid and comfortable for us. All right, that's a lot of information. I know I talk fast. You can slow this down if you need to on YouTube. All right, everybody, thank you so much. And please share, and we'll get a little growth on this channel. It'll be awesome. Thank you very much. Blessings. Namaste.